Hi guys, hope you're good. Hope you're taking very good care of yourself. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you're observing all the necessary precautionary measures that you ought to observe in this time. It's very important for you to do that as much as you can and as much as your environment will let you. Please do so. Stay safe, okay? I need you to be safe. So I just really thought that while we are all at home, at least most of us are basically working from home, doing stuff at home, getting more online, consuming more online content and all of that. I just really thought to tell you about this one event that I just realized that I haven't really told you about it. It happened a while ago, but I was flipping through my archives and there it was. And I thought to myself, why haven't I talked about this with you guys before? That is strange, like really strange. And then I realized that there were so many things that were happening at the time. So many events happened, like they were coming back to back. So I was literally just like getting all the footage together and just sort of keeping it in some place, hoping to get back to it. And then, you know, I kept having more events and more footage and all of that. So today I saw that footage and I thought to myself, I haven't talked about this? No way. I have got to tell you about this. So it's story time, folks. This happened in the month of January. And if you've been on the news, especially in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria, you will have heard of the Waterside demolitions or the seafront community demolitions. We actually met some of them when they came on a peaceful rally. A lot of the members from the communities had come to the government house for a peaceful rally. So several groups from these communities had come to the government house here in Lagos requesting audience with the governor, and they essentially came to appeal to the governor to intervene in what was happening.
It happened on the 21st of January, 9 a.m. precisely. Some Nava men came into our community. They started shooting into the air with excavators, scaring people to leave the community within a space of 1 hour. The reason why we came here was that we tried approaching the Nava men, though at a very distance. We are chorusing back to them, please, why are you doing this to us in our community? Why would you just evict us forcefully? So in response, they were telling us it is an order from the government. Even the governor of Lagos State is aware. So based on that reason, we have to plan ourselves and come forcefully as the entire community to be able to air our grievance to the governor. So that is why we are here actually in Alausa.
Right in front of me, my house was being demolished, brought down by a caterpillar. And when you are asking, they already asked us to pack our load. We are trying to pack our load. In the process of packing our load, they are beating us, chasing us out as if we are animals. Now when you go to the riverside, you see people who are with their luggages. Some of them are unable to pack something. Now the government, we don't know if it is federal government or state government. They have rendered everybody homeless. I'm from the Okun community. And as I'm talking to you now, my building is being demolished. They have demolished it and demolition is on.
It was a lot of noise in the media, and if you followed closely, you know how big that story got. Like we saw pictures of people with their mattresses and their belongings trying to get speedboats to take these things back to the mainland so they could find some place, at least for the time being, that they could put up before they could get some permanent solution to the problem. So Chioma and I, after we talked to them, we thought, like, we should totally go to these communities and see for ourselves really what's going on. I mean, we're journalists, right? So that's what we do. So we decided the very next day that we were going to go to these waterfront communities and find out for ourselves what was happening. Understand that these are waterside communities, so they live by the beach, off the beach, And we had to get to that location by speedboat. The last time that I was on a speedboat, that was a while ago, a long while ago, so I can't really remember. But I will tell you that our journey to Tarkwa Bay, which was one of the communities that was affected by the demolition exercise, it was a rough sea ride. We got on that boat. By the way, we had to pay like triple the price because it was just Chioma and I, just two. Normally there would be like 5 to even 10 people in one boat, but it was a weekday. There were not many people wanting to go to Tarkwa Bay, so Chioma and I had to literally pay 3 times the price just to get us across the sea to the community. So we did. One of the things that really shook me was, first of all, it was a bumpy ride. I didn't expect to have a bumpy ride on water. I mean, it was just unthinkable that you would have that bumpy of a ride on water. And then all of a sudden, the engine goes off and we are in the middle of the sea. And Chioma and I were looking at each other and we're like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? It was one moment that was so terrifying because I thought, what if this engine doesn't come on again? Like, what if there is a fault with this engine? What happens then? Well, I quickly discarded those thoughts, and the young man revved the engine and it kept going. That happened for like 3-4 more times. Like the engine would just go off and we would just sit in that boat surrounded by water all around. Anyway, at last we got to Tarkwa Bay. We got to the beach and right away we sought to talk to some of the community residents or some members of the communities to take us to the community and tell us more about what had happened. And then we were told that they were not allowed to talk to anyone. And then they point towards some naval officers who were sitting by the beach. Obviously, they were manning the entire beachfront, making sure that anyone who was coming in and out were only those that were residents who probably came to pack the rest of their belongings or who were there to try salvage what was left of their demolished buildings and properties and all of that. So we were directed to go meet those naval officers, which we did. So we got there, we introduced ourselves, told them we were journalists and that we had come to talk to community members and all of that. And then they told us no. They said we couldn't talk to anyone. No one was permitted to speak to us. That was why they were there, to make sure no one goes in, no one comes out. Chioma and I, we looked at ourselves like, this is it? Like we're just going to turn back after having paid like triple the price just to get here? No way. So we tried to kind of find a way, like, is there no way you guys can like help us? All we want to do is to verify the stories that we've heard. They have set their own, they've given their own version of the story. Now we need to get the other angle to that story. So we just kind of went back and forth, and at some point, one of the naval officers then said, okay, you know what? I'm going to give you the number of my superior. He is the commander for the Western Naval Command. You guys talk to him. Whatever he tells you, you're going to have to go with that. So he called the man on his phone. No. He gave us the number to call. And so we called the number. I gave the phone to Chioma and said, Chioma, you talk to the man. So she did, and after a while she was done talking to him, and she came back and then she said that the naval commander has asked to give this phone to you, addressing one of the naval officers. So he took the phone, talked with his superior for a while, and we were waiting, hoping, fingers crossed, hoping that it would all turn out in our favor. And it did. We had incredible favor with these guys. First of all, why would they even give out the number of their superior? I mean, you don't normally do that. You don't just give the the number of your superior to someone that you don't know, right? But he spoke with his superior and then told them to take us to the demolition site, let us shoot any video we want to shoot, do anything we want. The only thing that we were prohibited from doing was to talk to any member from that community. They didn't want us talking to anyone, so they said we could do anything else, video anything else, but talk to these people. And so we agreed. And so, accompanied by 4 heavily armed naval officers, we made our way into the community. From the beach to the community itself was it was far. Like, we kept walking. So while we were making our way into the community, the naval officers showed us some of the buildings which they didn't touch. Like, we saw a church that they didn't touch. They said that all places of worship, they didn't demolish any of those. I think we also saw a school. They didn't demolish that either. And so, they just kind of showed us, pointing to certain buildings or certain things. They told us this is what happens here. This is what has been happening here, and all of that. Finally, we get to the demolition site, and oh boy, for a few moments I was silent. I thought to myself, what happened here? All of these people who lived here, for who this was their home, what would they do? Where would they go? We still saw some of the residents trying to salvage, picking up things from the rubble. Anyway, we did the videos. We sort of got footage covering all of the things that were going on there. And while we were doing that, the naval officers told us why that exercise was carried out in the first place. They told us that there are a lot of the community members, firstly, they were foreigners, meaning that they were people from other countries and that they were in this place illegally. First of all, they told us that the land belonged to the National Ports Authority. So in the first instance, all of these people here, this entire community had settled here illegally. It wasn't their land to settle. Secondly, half of them, more than half of them, were foreigners from Ghana, from Sierra Leone, from Senegal, some other West African countries, and they were living here illegally. And then they told us that a lot of them were actually vandalizing pipeline installations, and they were siphoning fuel, like refined fuel. We're not talking crude, we're talking refined fuel. So we later on got to see a lot of pictures, a lot of footage of how people had dug wells in their houses, and they would scoop the fuel and put them in gallons and then ferry them off across the sea to other countries, other neighboring countries. So we were told that was the reason why they were asked to go there, dismantle these communities, send everyone packing, and have some more security in those areas. It was a very eventful outing, got a lot of information. The demolition exercise here at one of the communities at Tarkwa Bay, carried out by the Western Naval Command. Got a lot of information, and we are headed back home right now. We went back the same way that we came, on the speedboat, and of course, yes, you guessed right, the engine stopped for a couple more times while we were out at sea. But finally, we arrived safely to the mainland. We got off the boat and made our way back to the office. The very next day, we were back at the Navy Western Command, talking with the commander, who then gave us a detailed report of the operations, why they have been dismantling waterside communities, and why they had to do all of the things that they had been doing.
The question is, why did you build on the right of way? Why are you vandalizing this pipeline? Why are you carrying this thing to come and store here? If your hands are clean, if you have reported How have you put any other, if you say, okay, maybe you're reporting they will kill you or this will happen and all those, what step have you taken further to write that, see, oh, this security man is here, he's not listening to you, he's colluding with, bring out those facts. We're ready. We're already investigating so many persons.
For me, it was an experience because I got to see how people live by the seaside, and I also got to see what can happen to communities who, it doesn't matter how many years you've been in a place, sadly, if you're there illegally, the chances of you being evicted is real. And so it happened. It was sad. A lot of people lost their livelihoods overnight. They lost their homes overnight. And my heart really goes out to them. On the other hand, you have people who are stealing and who are taking advantage of the fact that it is away from the mainland. So many people were not even really aware of their activities, who are doing this thing to rob the nation. And that had to be stopped. So, but again, I think for a long time we will continue to ask the question, who was right and who was wrong, and the manner in which these demolitions were carried out. Was that the right way to go? At this point, all we can do really is to ask questions. We've heard the both sides, and it's left for us to make our conclusions. What do you think? Drop your comments in the section below. I would love to read. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Please give this video a thumbs up. Yeah, subscribe if you haven't for more amazing content on this channel. Remember, we got to stick together. Reach out to your brother and sister. Know how they're doing, how they're dealing with the social distancing thing and the self-isolation and all the things that they have to deal with mentally, emotionally, and all of that. Be your brother's keeper, and more importantly, keep praying for one another. We will all get through this together. I'm Zoe Maven. Life is beautiful when you know how to live it. I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Bye.